and welcome back to HerPower Live. It's Wednesday, wonderful Wednesday. We're so excited to be with you again today. We have Agnes von Rijn, the Queen of Reinvention, Karin, the Soul Reviver, and myself, Kali Rose, the Warrior Mermaid Coach. And we are continuing our conversation around last week. Lily, the story shifter, Lily, the story shifter, and I were talking about limiting beliefs, and that touched off some interest in looking at the law of attraction, which parallel, tangential. These two concepts, they go together. So let's talk about that and share some of our experiences. So just to kind of tap back to what we were talking about last week, I'll share my screen really quick. I have something called the belief cycle. So we can kind of start there just to refresh our memory about limiting beliefs, and then we will jump from there to the law of attraction and get more in depth with that. How does that sound? Good? Thumbs up?
Definitely.
Let's do it. Okay, hold on. I'm going to share my screen here. This one. There we go. All right, so here we are, and everyone can see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is what we call the belief cycle. And it's a chicken or the egg concept. It's a loop, it's a cycle. So, where you dive into it doesn't necessarily matter. But let's say we'll start at the top with we have a belief. And that belief, in turn, defines what we think, what we feel, how we behave, the actions or lack of actions in our life. And that determines our experience or our results. And what we get in our results proves our beliefs. And there we are back at a reinforced belief. And so that's exactly the concept of limiting beliefs. You have an idea. Last week we were using me as an example. And my core limiting belief has been, I am not enough. So if that's my limiting core belief, I am not enough, then that determines how I think, how I feel, how I behave, and what actions I will take or what actions I won't take because I think I'm not enough. I can't do this. I can't make this happen. And that, of course, is going to determine my experience. And as a result, my belief that I am not enough is reinforced. And we just keep going round and round and round and round in that cycle. And if that is the level of your belief that you are not enough, then it's a very low vibration. And that's where we start talking about the law of attraction. So let me see, I'm going to hop out of sharing so we can come back to our lovely faces here. Whoops, that's not stop share. There we go.
Talking about reinforcement, just to reinforce what you just said,
Yeah.
is that the way our brain is wired, we are always trying to find proof that what we believe is true. So we keep searching for more proof of that, and therefore it constantly reinforces that belief. And that can only bring your vibration very, 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 very low.
Yeah, we're all scientists by nature, right? We are living life in experimentation mode. Like, as you say that, what comes to my mind is, this very, very common experience we all have as mothers with little babies, that they go through that stage of cause and effect where they will, do something like, push something off the table just to see it fall and hit the floor. And they want to do it over and over and over again. And we actually carry that with us throughout our life, that we are constantly experimenting with our environment and determining what happens. And we begin to build a whole belief system around that. And think about it, we start from when we're tiny, tiny babies, with our observations and confirming what the meaning is by what we observe. Yeah.
And by the words that we use. So it's really important that's one of the indicators. The words that we use shows us and helps us also as coaches, when working with our clients, we can, that kind of guides us as to, what somebody's actually believing and feeling.
Absolutely.
A lot of the can'ts and I shoulds and
I
all
should.
I should, we all know that I should do this, I need to do this. that is a really wonderful kind of indicator as to, you know, what belief systems are happening and what belief patterns are happening in your mind.
That's such a good point, Karin. And it's exactly what made me want to talk about the law of attraction this week, because I caught some words that were coming out of my mouth. And it really like made me step back and say, what am I saying? And so for me, this week, it was around my words were, I don't want drama in my life. And I thought, oh, wait a
Beautiful.
minute. I don't want drama. It really is such a low vibration. It sounds good. I don't want drama, but in fact, it's coming from a place that I have an expectation of drama, right?
In particular, given the mind doesn't understand negation.
Yes.
So by definition,
It's just going to hear drama.
Drama. Oh, let me give you some drama.
Let's find drama. Let's go there.
Yes.
More of it.
Right. And you know, I stepped back and I looked at it and I thought to myself, yes, as I look back over my life, and this is particularly around the area of friendships in my life, ever since childhood, I have been reinforcing this limiting belief that friendship involves drama. And so I have been bringing friendships into my life that perpetuate that belief over and over and over again. And so it occurred to me, you are absolutely attracting them according to your vibration. You are attracting the drama that you say you don't want. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an amazing, amazing thing. And maybe that's a good place that I can also share screen again, and we can take a look at the levels of consciousness, because as we're talking about the law of attraction, we're talking about vibration. And if this is not like, you know, something you've studied before, maybe that all sounds just a little woo-woo, like, you know, we just say those words like vibes and vibrations and, you know, but this is, you know, actual physical reality. Even though we cannot see it with our eyes, this is actually what's going on all the time. Vibrations. We're not talking about, you know, some imaginary fluffy concept. We're talking about, you know, real actual waves of energy, like you think about radio waves.
Science.
Right. You don't see radio waves, but you know very well if you turn on a radio or a television and you want to tune into a program, what you're doing is picking up a certain wave frequency that's going to broadcast that to your radio or to your television. Same thing is going on when it comes to vibrations that we pick up on, invisible vibrations that we pick up on as human beings that dictate the reality all around us. So yeah, let me share screen because this is just, I think, absolutely fascinating stuff. It's so fundamental to how we're living our lives, and most of us are not really aware of it. So this is the levels of consciousness, and it's a concept that was developed by a man named Dr. David Hawkins. He wrote several amazing books. Power versus Force is the one that I've read and I really like, and it really goes in depth about how the levels of consciousness work. So I recommend on a read there, David R. Hawkins, Power versus Force. And so with the levels of consciousness, we have in this diagram like a cone or an inverted triangle from the lowest level, shame, up to the highest level of enlightenment, and all of these levels that are in between. And the numbers are not arbitrary. It's not, some, random numbering scheme system. It's actually based on Hertz, which Hertz is a measurement tool that we use to measure waves of energy, whether those are radio waves or, waves of energy. Okay. I'm not exactly the scientist here, so feel free to jump in if you have a better scientific description than that.
No. I'm not a scientist either. These are just frequencies, levels of frequencies. That's all.
Yes, exactly. And, just the same as sound, we kind of have that concept in our mind of sound frequency. So that's the way to think of it. And so, what's amazing here is, we've actually mapped out what's the frequency when we talk about vibes and vibrations and we're talking about, what's the level, the actual quantifiable level of shame. And it's, down at the very, very bottom, it's considered the lowest frequency level that humans tap into. And that's, at 20 hertz. And then, on the high end, you have enlightenment. And here we're talking about, Buddha and Jesus Christ and, people at that level who are at 700 to 1,000. So, huge difference between the two. What's fascinating is, according to Hawkins' research, and he tested lots of people on this, 85% of the entire world population falls below 200. And like you can see on here, 200, it's the tipping point between contracted life experience and an expanded life experience. Tipping point is courage. I think that's so poignant, right? Like that makes the difference when we have courage to imagine something different for ourselves, something could be better. Then that's when we can start pushing into expansion. And I know, Agnes, you wanted to share a story that I think really illustrates that very well, around how you moved out of that contracted state and started to experience a more expanded life.
What I wanted to share were more examples of what can happen when you are in that different state.
Okay.
So because there are what happens when you start raising your vibration. In coaching, we say that what you focus on expands, because with the law of polarity, everything and its opposite is existing. You cannot know what white is if you don't know what black is, and etc. So both are existing. However, what are you choosing to focus on? And the classical example that people give when it comes to talking about what you focus on expands is, if you're pregnant, all of a sudden you start seeing pregnant women everywhere. If you want to buy a red car of whatever brand, you start seeing them everywhere. It's not that they weren't there before, it's just you were not focusing on them. So if you are choosing consciously, and that is a level of courage, to start focusing on what works in your life as opposed to what doesn't work in your life, that is when your vibration, sorry, I was going to say vibrancy, is really shifting. And so one of the examples that I wanted to give for that is that 10 years ago, I did share it, if I remember well, in my presentation, one of those lives we did. I had left a toxic relationship in France. I lost absolutely everything. And instead of stepping into victimhood, I decided it was an amazing opportunity to reconsider all my choices in life and business. So one of the decisions that came out of that was I decided to move to London because I had the firm intention to rise from my ashes. And they were really ashes, because I moved with 2 suitcases. I was 58. I didn't have any form of income or savings, but I was in that very good place. At no moment have I felt poor. I was always feeling grateful for what I had in my life, and that were the support I was having, etc. And so I was focusing on what was working rather than, oh my God, and I don't have a place to stay and blah, 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 all the victimhood type of things. And interestingly enough, something like 10 days later, I was reached out by a woman that I know from a Facebook group that I'm in because of a program I'm in for many, many years already. And she said, oh, and yes, we should have a coffee together. We've known each other for so long, we've never met. And so I was there fresh from, 10 days probably in London, not knowing anything. And I had a coffee with her, and she said to me, and yes, you should join the Athena Network, which is a female business network in the UK. And she said, but Central London, they're more business focused, it's more you. So I called the person. There are no meetings in August. She said, you can visit in September. I visited in September. She then, and I loved it, so I wanted to join. I asked, how much is it? I didn't have the first cent to pay for it. So the first positive thing when it comes to attracting right things to you is that she happened to be French. She said to me, and yes, I so remember how hard it was when I arrived in London. I want to help you. Would it help if you were to pay monthly instead of yearly? And that was something like 40-ish per month that I didn't have. But taking risk is also part of that process. I thought, I'm going to make it work. I don't know where I will find the money, but I will find it. So in October, I am a member. And in November, talking about what you're attracting to yourself, she sent an email to everyone and she says, I'm selling the franchises. I have 3. You can buy 1, 2, or 3 who's interested. And I didn't give it a second thought. I knew, my gut was telling me that this was for me. I sent her a text message in French that said, it's for me, it's the 3. I don't know how I will make it, but I will. 2 weeks later, I had the networks. I bought the 3. I did not have the first cent to pay for it. So people ask me, how did you do that? You look at possibilities instead of impossibilities. So if, again, law of polarity, if there is a problem, there is a solution. But to find a solution, you must think out of the box, because in my box, it was saying, what a shame, I would love to, but I can't. And I just thought, okay, what do I need for myself? And I thought, all I need for me to be happy is money for a room, not even a flat or whatever, a room, and money for food. I'm happy. Money doesn't define me. And so I made a proposition to pay back over 4 years, and she accepted. As simple as that. So this is a beautiful example, and I've had many others after that. Within 3 months of arriving, so I've been running that network for 9 years now. It has helped me rise from my ashes. So what you attract to you, because you are in a complete different vibration, and because you are in that vibration, you are looking at possibilities instead of impossibilities. So you start seeing opportunities that you would normally not have seen. They were there, but you were not able to see them because everything in the universe is there already. So it is fascinating. When I arrived here in Croatia, I couldn't find a flat. I mean, because it's so touristic that they consider long-term from October to May, and then they triple the prices for the summer season. And I was really thinking, oh my God, what have I done? I will never find a place. I will never find a place. And I just thought to myself, yes, don't worry, the universe has your back. The next day, the guy who owns the place I'm living in now called me and reached out and said, I see that you're looking for something. Are you interested? And to make that story short, I'm now living in that place and I absolutely love it. Again, you attract things to you. And I have tons of examples like that.
Yeah, I mean, so like, everything you're saying, it just totally illustrates what this chart is showing us. I mean, you come back again and again to just having that grain of courage, to walk away from all of the security in a marriage because it's toxic and there has to be something better out there for you, a belief in expansion, and then taking that courageous step, even though you can't see, where you're going, it's just that ignition point of, I know there has to be more, and then things keep opening up, and then the same with stepping into purchasing the franchise with the Athena network. It took the courage to say, I don't know how this is going to work, but I know this is for me.
I will make it work.
That deep feeling, and then it just the resources flow in simply because you operate from that expanded space of, I have some courage, and I'm gonna put myself out there, and I'm gonna allow the universe to make it happen. I love that. Karin, do you have anything that sparks in your mind off of that conversation, or off of Agnes's examples?
Yeah, no, I was just I always love hearing things like that. Nothing kind of personal springs to mind at this point, but because I'm just thinking sound bowls, and because you mentioned hertz and sound bowls kind of get you into that state.
Yeah.
So sound bowls have hertz from between like around 100, 110 until 900. So
Mhm.
they kind of, they can catapult you basically into that, higher level of consciousness, that you're talking about. Maybe not to, enlightenment or, but just under that. Depending on the sound bowl, of course, they have that amount of hertz, so they can give you a kind of a framework of how to, relatively quickly get into that state. And by doing that, I would think that, the more you do it, the more the more you experience it, the more you know it, and you know what it is that you want to feel like.
Mhm.
And then the more you can kind of, aim for that. And that will also change your mind, help you with your mind and your mindset. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's not an example
Absolutely onto something there, 100%, right? I mean, we're talking about the very same thing, and the frequencies that the sound bowls are putting out absolutely are opening up potential, right? And even talking about like on the lower end, like 110, I mean, you're starting to push in to from fear to that state of desire. And desire is like that first inkling. You can't want something that you can't even imagine. If you're down at the level of shame and guilt and apathy and grief, you can't even get yourself to the point of desire. You're so
Absolutely.
low that
Yeah,
you're just in this mush pot of ick, right? And there's
you're
no
blocking.
other possibilities.
Exactly. Yeah, you're blocking yourself with these lower, basically it's like you're blocking yourself, which of course, immediately if something's blocked, you're not open. And of course the sound boards can kind of do that, can kind of open up
Mhm.
on various levels, so that you can, kind of if once it's open, you can kind of reach these
Yeah.
spaces
We're
within
tuning
you that
into
will
those higher frequencies. The sound bowls
get,
are
yeah,
allowing your brain to tune into frequencies, right?
Which
exactly.
makes me also, sorry,
What did you say?
which makes me also think that one mistake that a lot of people are making when it comes to wanting to manifest something, etc., is that they are operating from that place of lack. I don't want, well, I mean, talking about drama, I don't want drama anymore. Well, if you can only manifest more of something that you already have, not from a place of I don't have it. So even if it's only a little, how can you be grateful for what you have, so that grateful feeling will expand how that sensation, and from there you can start building and attracting more of what you want more of in your life. But you can't manifest from a place of not having.
Yeah.
It doesn't
So that's the thing, like in my mind, I said, okay, I cannot be saying or thinking these thoughts of, I don't want drama in my life. I need to flip that. I need to change it. And what I came up with was I attract, or I surround myself with positive people who have positive mindset, positive beliefs about themselves, positive beliefs about the world, and continue to speak that frequency because it's way higher than I don't want drama in my life. And that's where the law of attraction can connect. And it's absolutely belief level. Like, I can't just say those words and not mean them, right? Like, if I don't really believe what's behind those words, the universe is still going to tune into my belief level, because I'm not actually elevating my frequency necessarily, unless I'm really, attuning myself to that belief level of, yes, I surround myself with positivity, positive people. Positive people don't live in drama. They just don't. Right? So,
yeah, that's the difference. That's the difference between conscious mind and subconscious mind. If subconscious mind, if with your conscious mind you are saying, I don't want drama in my life, but at a subconscious level, you don't believe the new affirmation that you have.
Right.
I always say when the conscious mind and the subconscious mind agree, everything is perfect. But if they disagree, it's always the subconscious mind who wins.
Every time.
So it is, that's why it's so important that it's at a vibrational level that you start bringing in that difference. And that doesn't happen overnight, but you can have the courage, coming back to that, to consciously choose to test something different. So I am choosing from now on to focus on what I am grateful for. I am focusing on, etc., in the positive, of course.
And this is why gratitude works, as you hit on that. You know, people
Absolutely.
think, oh, what a lot of hooey, you know, that you can just be grateful for things and more flows into your life. But actually, yeah, the vibration of gratitude is very high. It's not actually shown on the scale here, but it's high. And it, you know, if you are aligning your beliefs and truly feeling grateful, and not just, you know, saying blah blah blah, you're raising your consciousness level, and you're raising what you attract. And I think, you know, the most of us, you know, when you talk to people about what do they truly want in their life, you know, what do they believe will bring them happiness? You know, we're talking about love, we're talking about joy, we're talking about peace. Those are probably like the three that come up the most. Well, look at the level. You know, you have to be vibrating at a frequency of 500 or 540 or even 600, you know, to tap into that level. So there has to be a big shift in where you're at. If you're in lack, if you feel you're in lack of those things, to position yourself up to that level. And it is those what ifs. What if, you know, what if it's not?
What if my belief were not true? What else would there be instead? And then you can start making different choices and experiment different choices. You cannot create a different reality by continuing doing more of what you were always doing. The only thing you will get is the same results. So from there, there's a choice to be made. And that's coming back to this notion of being a victim of your life or the designer of your life. And that's where things shifted for me back in the days when I chose to leave this relationship. Everyone was saying, oh, poor you, what he's done to you, blah, blah, blah. And I thought, actually, I'm not a victim of this. At a subconscious level, I have chosen this. That's a hard one to hear.
Hard one to swallow, isn't it? Yeah.
But it is absolutely true. And the moment I realized that, I started looking at, okay, why would that be? What is underneath, blah, blah, blah. So I started working on that. And that made me realize that actually, instead of being a victim, this was an amazing opportunity to reconsider all my choices in life and business. And there has been a before and after. I am talking about gratitude. I am grateful for that relationship because I wouldn't be who I am today without it. I wouldn't be who I am.
Yeah. I mean, I think also what I hear there is the power and again, responsibility isn't on that chart we were just looking at, but I have to say that taking personal responsibility is very high vibration. Once you can say, hey, you know, this is not just external things that are happening to me that I'm the victim of, but rather I have a subconscious hand in it. And yes, that doesn't mean you say, hey, I want, you know, a toxic marriage. I want, you know.
No, you don't do that consciously.
Yeah, you're not consciously doing that to yourself, of course. And that's what people object to. I would never, right? But on some level you are, and maybe that's a what if for you, that you have to start from a what if. What if there is some level of responsibility and control that I have in this situation? And, you know, allow yourself to experiment with that and to at least have the possibility, create the possibility in your mind that there could be some level at which you do have control and you do have a responsibility in your own situation. And that right there means that that belief cycle gets broken and you start to see the possibility of something else. And it takes courage. It's courage just to have the what if.
And it's coming back to, as a victim, things are happening to you, but as a designer of your life, things are happening for you. It's an opportunity of growth.
Yeah, the designer is that expanded level of living. And it's the same thing like with my, you know, buying property in Croatia. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, that takes a lot of courage.
Yes.
if there's any question in your mind, buying property in a foreign country, stepping out into the absolute unknown is something you can only do with courage, because I don't know what's going to happen. You know, I really do have to be in trust that the universe has got me in this experience. Yeah, and you know, hearing stories like yours, it creates so much encouragement, and you know, this yes, I'm on the right track, making these hard choices, you know, pushing into possibilities. It gets rewarded by the universe, right? Like, you know, sitting on your heels and saying, "Oh, that's not for me because, you know, there's too much risk." That's going to keep you right where you're at, of course. The comfort zone.
Yeah, no, it's a fascinating topic, and yeah, there's so many directions we could go into.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, choosing to attend a retreat on the other side of the world, you know, it's another example of there's a courage to step into that. There's a courage in terms of the financial impact implications. There's a courage in terms of the, well, what's going to happen, and you know, all of these unknowns, and it, but it's that going back to what you said, Anya, feeling it in your gut that you just know this is for you. If you feel it, you know, don't talk yourself out of it. Trust that feeling. That's
Well, and it's also knowing how to get to that point where you're in that state of being able to check in with yourself and feel it, because we feel these feelings, but we just don't notice them. We're not aware of them. It's not in our, like you were saying before, it's not in our conscious, you know, conscious mind. And so it's also training that kind of like connection with yourself. And you can, I mean, you can start in little everyday things. I mean, I often feel, you know, there are days when I go into town and I feel like I'm invisible. People just bump into me and you know, they don't see me, and I'm, you know, and then I realize I'm actually really grumpy and I'm not in a good mood. And then there are other days when I walk into town and I feel like I'm, you know, on a red carpet. Everyone's looking at me and smiling at me and reacting to me. And then I check in with myself and I realize that's because I'm just really, really centered. And you know, I'm just feeling really relaxed and I'm on a high vibration. So you can notice these things and you can learn, you know, like just an everyday, I'm all for everyday kind of like, you know, turning things into every day, because it has to be understandable on an everyday level. Yeah, so that's just an everyday example.
Really good example, and a place where you have some control.
Every day it's all the little things added up. So you are not saying, oh, let's, you know, no, it's all those little things that make you realize, and that it's interesting what you're saying, because that is again a very good example of your vibration. Why do you walk into a room and you think, I don't feel it here, something is off? You can feel it.
You can absolutely
and how you are. Even your posture, one of the things that a tip, by the way, for the listeners, one of the things that I have always given to my clients to do is a physical example. I ask them to walk in the room as if they have the weight of the world on their shoulders. And I'm asking them to connect to how it makes them feel. And then from a different place in the room, I'm asking them to walk as if they had a thread that was lifting them to the room, and walk into the room. And how does it make you feel? Completely different. One is heavy, one is light. But that's a vibration also. That's a vibration.
And you know, it's that perfect opportunity to experiment. Like it's, you know, whether, it can be in a room by yourself, and that's like, you know, lowest level of risk possible, right? Or if you want to just take it up just a notch, you can play Karen's game and you can say, what happens if I walk into the market, into the grocery store with those different postures, and what happens around me, and just observe, right? It's like a way to change that belief cycle again, that suddenly there's this what if it actually does make a difference, and an observable difference that I can experience, and there's, you know, very, very low risk.
Absolutely. Sorry, in that situation also, I mean, I've even had a policeman you know, I didn't have enough money to put in the you know, for the car, for the machine. I can't remember
Meter,
the
yeah.
the meter. And I like I live in Switzerland, so I'm always on a different vibration when I speak Swiss and when I'm English, and I was made aware of that when I first moved here. I'm much more kind of like grouchy when I'm speak Swiss, and I'm much more kind of easygoing and holiday mode when I speak English. And so my daughter was with me, and I spoke to him in English, and I was on it, you know, and I just said, oh, I saw the policeman coming up, and I said, I'm really sorry, I don't have any cash, you know, it's like, whatever. I was just, and he actually gave me like, you know, a franc. And he said, look,
Wow.
why don't you take this and put it in here? It's like, and my daughter just looked at me. She was embarrassed, and then she was like, oh my God, I've never experienced this. So, you know, again, it's like how you behave, you know, the vibrancy that the wave you're riding, people will join you, basically, you know, it will. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah, because literally people attune to your frequency.
absolutely.
And you know, you have that experience, and we're going on and on here. We'll cut this off here soon, but I just have to put this out. Have you ever noticed that when you're having a bad day, it seems everybody else is also having a bad day? Even across the world, you can be on Facebook and it's a bad day.
But again, you are because again,
you're
we're
focusing.
on,
You notice
exactly.
all the red, you notice all the red
what you
cars.
focus
You notice all,
expose.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
People are having bad days all over the world every single day. But do we want to see them or not?
And who are you bumping into, right? Because your frequency is attracting you to those people, right? If your frequency is low, you're gonna run into that grumpy barista at Starbucks or the coffee shop. You're gonna run into the road rage traffic, you know, with the drivers that are acting like insaniacs. Like that's a big shift I've noticed. You know, driving is a really good place to play the what if game. Like if you approach your driving differently, watch how the whole road changes around you. And you don't have the same experiences. It's really fascinating.
Yeah, that's a very good one. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, we better wrap it up because we could
we can
go on
continue
and
for
on.
hours. So
We'll continue in Croatia. We'll continue on the retreat.
To be continued in Croatia. Yes.
Exactly.
Thank you guys for all the input, and I will get this recording up, and I hope it helps other people to see possibilities and what ifs too, and we raise that that level of vibration everywhere. Take care, everybody. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.